What happens when the man who built the coffee chain from scratch becomes a trainee at one of his own stores and catches someone ripping off tourists? Travis Faulkner stood at the back of store number 9, tightening his apron, not with nervous fingers. The smell of espresso hit him hard, stirring up old memories back when it was just him and a rented cart on a sidewalk in Portland, grinding beans at dawn. 15 stores now. 15. He should have been proud, but lately he wasn't sure. The last quarterly report showed a dip in customer satisfaction at a few locations, especially the one in the historic district, packed with out-of-towners. Reviews mentioned rushed service, overpriced drinks, and a rude woman at the counter. Travis didn't like vague reports. He wanted to see it for himself. So here he was clean-shaven, hair dyed dark, glasses on, and going by Tyler. No one here had ever met him. Most of the staff were new. It was a corporate-style setup with different managers per store. He'd hired a friend from HR to slip his application in as a transfer trainee from another city. "Tyler," a voice barked. "You done tying that thing or you need a class on knots too?" Travis turned. The woman glaring at him had sharp eyes and a voice that cut through foam. "I'm Gina, Supervisor. You're shadowing me today. Let's move." She didn't wait for an answer, just turned and walked off. Travis followed. Gina moved fast, correcting others with clipped commands. "Table 7, wipe it again. Refill the napkins. Don't forget to upsell the seasonal drink." She didn't say please once behind the counter. Travis noticed another barista working quietly near the espresso machine. She was younger, maybe mid-20s, with curly hair pulled back into a bun. She smiled at every customer, even when they didn't smile back. Her name tag said Gabrielle. He watched her gently guide an older couple through the menu. "If you don't like sweet drinks, skip the honey latte. I'd recommend the small roast, less acidic and smooth." The man nodded. "We're from Iowa. This your shop?" Gabrielle chuckled. "No, sir, just trying to make sure you get the best of it." Travis liked her immediately, then Gina stepped in. "Actually, the honey latte's our best seller, 2 of those, large." The couple looked confused but nodded. $22.50, Gina said, punching it in. Gabrielle blinked. "I thought we're not supposed to ring up large drinks unless it's a tourist order," Gina interrupted. "They don't care." "Next," Travis froze. $22.50, that wasn't right. He knew the prices by heart. Even 2 large honey lattes shouldn't be more than $17. He kept quiet, but his stomach turned. As the day went on, Travis saw it again and again. Gina would step in when she spotted someone clearly not local, usually older folks or families with maps or cameras, and she'd ring up drinks with add-ons they hadn't asked for. Whipped cream, extra syrup, premium roast, whatever that meant. None of it was real. The customers didn't notice. But Travis did, and so did Gabrielle. During a short lull near closing, Gabrielle leaned toward him. "You from the other store in Tacoma?" "Yeah," Travis said, keeping his voice neutral. She nodded. "Just so you know, if you see anything weird, just keep your head down." "Gina's been here too long. Upper folks don't care." Travis looked at her. "You tried saying something." Gabrielle gave a short laugh without humor. "Once, got my hours cut, told my mom I was sick that week so she wouldn't worry." He didn't know what to say. After they locked up, Travis walked to the parking lot, heart pounding. He sat in his car and stared at the steering wheel. His jaw clenched. This wasn't just about overpriced lattes, it was about trust. He thought of the couple from Iowa, of Gabrielle covering for someone else's scam, of Gina's cold efficiency, and of himself sitting behind spreadsheets for too long. Tomorrow, he'd keep playing the trainee, but he wasn't just going to watch anymore. The next morning, Travis arrived early before the doors unlocked and before the lights flipped on. The air was still, the machine silent. He stood by the front window, watching the street slowly fill with the first tourists of the day. A delivery van rumbled past. Somewhere nearby, a street musician tested a few guitar chords. Gabrielle arrived a few minutes later, coat zipped up to her neck, earbuds in. She jumped slightly when she noticed him by the door. "You really don't sleep, huh?" she asked, pulling out one earbud. "Old habit," Travis said. "I used to open at a cart downtown." "You get used to early." She unlocked the door with her key badge and held it open. "Come on then, early bird. You can help me set up the grinder," she said, already heading toward the bar. They started prepping in comfortable silence. Gabrielle moved with quiet competence, checking the milk fridge levels, calibrating the espresso machine, double-checking the syrup pumps. She didn't explain what she was doing, didn't need to. "You ever think about running your own place?" Travis asked after a while, rinsing a pitcher. She hesitated for a second before answering. "Yeah," she said. "I think about it." He waited, "but I'd need capital, and time, and probably a little magic." Travis smiled faintly. "Magic's overrated, you got the hard part already." Before she could respond, the front door jingled. Gina stepped in, sunglasses on, holding a cup from a competitor's shop across the street. "Figures," Gabrielle muttered under her breath, turning away. Travis caught that, not just the words, but the tone. Gina didn't say good morning. She walked straight behind the counter, set her cup down, and started checking the register like she didn't trust yesterday's numbers. She looked up at Travis. "Tyler, you're on register today. Don't mess it up." Travis held her gaze for a beat too long, then nodded. The first hour passed in a steady rhythm. Locals trickled in for their usuals. A woman with paint on her hands ordered a plain drip. A man in a utility vest asked for a double shot over ice, no small talk. Gabrielle handled the drinks. Travis took the orders. Gina hovered. Then around mid-morning, the pace shifted. A pair of tourists walked in, a mother and teenage daughter, both glancing around like they weren't sure they were in the right place. "Hi there," Travis greeted them. "Hi," the woman said. "We're visiting from Charlotte." "This place came highly recommended." Travis smiled warmly. "Welcome. I'll help you figure out what you'll like." He walked them through a few options, suggested a medium roast with oat milk for the mom and a sweet iced drink for the daughter. They nodded, appreciative. "That'll be 11 even," he said, tapping the screen. Before the woman could insert her card, Gina slid in next to him. "Actually, those were both upgrades, plus extra vanilla and oat milk charges. $14.75. Travis looked at her. "I didn't ring those in." "Well, you should have," she said, pressing a few buttons. "It's policy." The mother frowned slightly but paid without complaint. Her daughter looked at the receipt, puzzled. Once they left, Travis turned to Gina. "There's no policy about charging extra for oat milk unless it's a large," he said evenly. Gina didn't blink. "You're new, you don't make the rules." "I've read the manual." She leaned in, voice lower but colder. "You run your mouth like that again, and you'll be back at your old store washing condiment trays." She walked away before he could answer. Gabrielle glanced at him. Her look said it all. Don't. But Travis wasn't here to play it safe. By noon, the line was wrapped around the corner. Most of the customers were tourists, and Gina was in full control. She pushed past Travis at the register more than once, took over orders, and added charges that didn't match the listed menu. She moved fast, never stopping long enough for anyone to question anything. But Travis had started quietly keeping track. He wrote down order totals on a notepad by the register, along with what the drinks actually were. In 1 hour alone, Gina had inflated prices on 6 different orders, always tourists, always when no one else was focused. She didn't notice him tracking, but someone else did. A young guy named Mateo, working the dish station in back, approached Travis during the short lunch lull. "You got a background in accounting or something?" he asked, nodding toward the notepad. "Something like that." Mateo looked around, then leaned closer. "She's been doing this since my second week. Folks tried to say something, got shut down fast." "How long has she been here?" Travis asked. 4 years, more than anyone else." "She knows how to play it." "What about the manager?" Travis asked. Mateo laughed. "There is no manager. She ran off a few months ago. Gina took over. Nobody filled the spot." Travis blinked. "Corporate didn't replace them?" "Nope. Gina told them she had it under control." "Guess they believed her." Travis didn't respond. He just stared down at the notepad. That afternoon, things shifted. A man in a tailored blazer walked in mid-40s, confident stride, clearly not a tourist. Gina spotted him from across the room and made a beeline. "Mr. Lovett," she called. Travis froze. Lovett. He was one of the regional franchise advisors, not high up in the company, but enough to report directly to operations. What was he doing here? Gina turned on a charm Travis hadn't seen before. "I didn't know you were coming in today," she said, laughing lightly. "Just in the neighborhood," Lovett said, though his tone was distracted. He glanced around. "Crowd's good. Always is," Gina said quickly. We've streamlined a lot. I've stepped up since the manager left. Lovett nodded, still scanning the shop. You keeping clean records? Of course, she said, motioning toward the back. I can show you sales numbers. I'll take a drink first, he said. Gina hesitated, then forced a smile. Of course, on the house. He waved that off. No, I'll pay. He stepped up to the register. Travis met his eyes. Medium drip. Black, Lovett said. Travis punched it in. That's $3.75. He paid without a word. Gina hovered while Travis poured the coffee. She whispered, Don't say anything stupid. Travis handed over the cup. Medium drip, he said. No extras. Lovett gave him a sharp look, then looked at Gina, then back at Travis. Thanks, he said slowly. He took a seat by the front window. 10 minutes later, Gabrielle passed Travis a note written on a sticky pad from the drink station. He unfolded it. That's the first time I've seen her nervous. Travis folded the note, pocketed it, and looked out at Lovett. The man was sipping slowly. Watching, by closing time, the team was exhausted. Gabrielle had pulled a double. Mateo stayed late to cover for someone who'd called out. Gina, however, had stayed glued to the register and office area, keeping everyone moving, never lifting a finger to actually prepare drinks or clean. As Travis scrubbed down the counter, he heard a raised voice from the back office. You may want to double-check the drawer totals from this morning, Lovett said. Gina answered sharply. I did. They matched. I didn't ask if they matched. I said you should double-check. A brief silence, then Lovett's voice dropped. Because if I find one more discrepancy between what's logged and what's charged, I'm calling your district head. Not you. The silence stretched. Travis kept wiping the counter like he hadn't heard a thing, but his pulse quickened. Gina stepped out of the office moments later, face tight, jaw clenched. She didn't look at anyone, just grabbed her coat and walked out the back. Gabrielle looked at Travis across the bar, eyes wide. Travis exhaled slowly. He turned off the espresso machine, flicked off the lights, and said, Let's lock it up. The night was cold. The street was quieter now. As they stepped outside, Gabrielle asked, You think she's in trouble? Travis didn't answer right away. I think she's out of time, he said. And if she's not, I'll make sure she is. Gabrielle gave him a long look. You're not just a transfer, are you? Travis held her gaze. No, he said. Not even close. The next morning, Travis arrived later than usual, deliberately walking in just before the first rush. He needed to see how the store ran without his early prep. Gabrielle and Mateo were already working through the line, shoulders tense, eyes focused. The register was unmanned. Gina was nowhere in sight. Travis stepped into the gap behind the counter without a word and started ringing up orders. Gabrielle passed him a glance. Subtle but sharp, she'd noticed too. After a grueling hour of back-to-back orders, Gina finally arrived. She breezed in the front door with a paper bag in hand, chewing the last bite of something and brushing crumbs from her jacket. She said nothing to the team, just dropped her bag behind the register and checked the tip jar. Travis watched her lift the lid, glance inside, and walk off without contributing. Mateo leaned in as he passed by with a tray of cups. She's late almost every Thursday. Blames traffic. Travis nodded but didn't respond. He was watching Gabrielle, who was working through a mobile order queue that hadn't stopped blinking since 6. At 10 past 10, a man stepped up to the counter. He wore a faded camera strap across his chest and spoke with a thick accent. 2 cappuccino, please, medium size. Travis rang it in. That'll be $7.65. Before the man could reach for his wallet, Gina cut in from behind. No, that's $9.20, she said, tapping the screen. Travis stepped back, careful not to react. The man paid, still smiling politely. When the transaction was done, Gina leaned in close, her breath sharp with mint. Stop making rookie errors. You're lucky I'm catching them. You added a charge that wasn't on the screen, Travis said quietly, keeping his face calm. She didn't blink. This isn't a charity, kid. You want to be liked, go work at an ice cream stand. He didn't answer. Gabrielle caught his eye again, this time with something more than just concern. She was tired, not the kind that a day off could fix, the kind that came from showing up every day knowing no one had your back. By midday, the shop was stretched thin. The dishwasher had called out last minute. Mateo was trying to run drinks and bus tables. Gabrielle hadn't taken a break. Travis asked twice if she wanted to step off the floor. She refused both times with a shake of her head. The line never let up. When a young mother with a stroller tried to ask Gina if she could heat up a bottle in the back, Gina barely looked up. "This is a cafe, not a daycare." The woman flushed, apologized, and backed out of the line. Travis felt it like a slap. He stepped toward Gina. "You could have just said no. You want to run customer service, be my guest," she snapped, heading back toward the office, but she didn't go in. She just stood near the back, scrolling on her phone, pretending to be checking schedules. Travis watched her stand there for nearly 15 minutes, ignoring the mounting trays, the overflowing trash, the customers waiting for drinks that were 5, 10, even 15 minutes late. When she re-emerged, she didn't help. She hovered. She criticized. She corrected ticket times but never pulled a shot of espresso. At one point, she told Gabrielle to smile more in front of customers. That was enough. Travis stepped into the back, pulled out his phone, and sent a message. 2 hours later, a black SUV pulled up to the back lot. A regional HR rep stepped out, flanked by a woman with a clipboard. Both wore neutral expressions, but their pace was purposeful. Travis met them at the back door and nodded once. They didn't need a tour. They entered through the rear. The woman with the clipboard began observing immediately, taking notes. The HR rep Marcy headed straight to Gina. "Let's talk in the office," she said. Gina's posture shifted. "I wasn't told about any audit. I didn't say it was an audit." The door closed behind them. Gabrielle looked at Travis as the noise of the cafe continued around them. He didn't explain. He just handed her a cup of water and said, "Take 5. Now." She hesitated, then nodded and slipped outside. 12 minutes later, the office door opened again. Gina walked out alone, jaw locked, face pale. She didn't look at anyone. She went straight to the register, opened the drawer, pulled out a zippered pouch, and walked out the front door. Marcy rejoined Travis and Mateo behind the counter. "She's done," she said quietly. "Effective immediately." Mateo stared. "Wait, she's not coming back." "No," Marcy said. "She won't be handling company funds or staff again." Gabrielle returned a few minutes later, eyes scanning the cafe. "She gone?" Travis nodded. "She's not your problem anymore." Gabrielle sat on the back prep stool, finally letting herself breathe. The rest of the day was rough. They were short-staffed, morale was frayed, and the customers weren't any more patient, but something had shifted. Gabrielle started laughing again, even if it was quiet. Mateo started talking more. And Travis, he stepped into the manager's office that evening, closed the door, and finally took off his glasses. When he stepped back out, Gabrielle was refilling the milk jugs. She looked up. "You got contacts in your pocket or something?" "I'm not Tyler," he said. "My name's Travis Faulkner. I'm the founder." She stared at him, eyes narrowing. "You're not serious." "I am." There was a long silence. "You let her talk to you like that. You let her treat customers like that. You let her treat us like that." "I wanted to see what it felt like," he said. "From your side." She folded her arms. "You didn't need to. You could have just asked. People don't always tell the truth when the boss is asking." She didn't argue with that. Travis stepped closer. "I'm not proud of what I saw here, but I'm not walking away from it either." She looked at him for a long moment, then asked, "What now?" "We're hiring a new manager. A real one. You'll get a say in who we pick, and I'm restructuring the pay system. No more hour cuts without cause. No more one person on register during rush, and no more looking the other way." Gabrielle didn't smile, but her shoulders dropped half an inch. "And you?" she asked. "I'll still be around." She tilted her head. "As a barista," he chuckled. "Let's say." As someone who finally remembered what it means to work the line. She nodded once, then turned back to the bar. "Good," she said, "because tomorrow's Friday, you're making cold brew." Travis grabbed an apron. "Yes, ma'am." The following week began under a gray sky, the kind that settled low and heavy over the city, mirroring the mood inside Store 9. The first few mornings without Gina were chaotic. Orders backed up, milk ran short, the register froze twice. Without a manager, everything moved slower and every mistake felt heavier. Travis worked the floor every day. He didn't wear the glasses anymore, no apron either. But he kept pulling shots, refilling bins, wiping tables. Gabrielle still ran the bar like she always had, but now she didn't have to do it while looking over her shoulder. Mateo had stepped up, taking on extra shifts without being asked, using his breaks to mop floors instead of scrolling his phone. But the cracks were still there. On Wednesday, a shipment arrived late, and the delivery guy dropped 2 cases of oat milk by the wrong entrance. Gabrielle found them nearly warm. She didn't complain, just logged the incident and moved on. On Thursday, a customer stormed out after waiting too long for a drink that had been remade twice. No one blamed Gabrielle, but she still apologized. Friday came with a steady drizzle and a line out the door. Travis stood beside Mateo at the register, watching Gabrielle juggle 4 tickets and a call in order. Her hands moved fast, but her shoulders were tight. "You sure you don't want me to take hot bar?" he asked. She didn't look up. "I've got it." Travis stepped back, wiping his hands on a towel. "You shouldn't have to got it every single day." She paused, then set down the steaming pitcher. "I've been doing this so long, I don't know what it looks like when it's not like this," she said. "I'm used to stretching." "You shouldn't have to stretch to hold the place together." She nodded once, then went back to the drinks. Later that afternoon, Travis met with Marcy in the back office. The space still smelled faintly like Gina's perfume, but the clutter was gone. The drawers were organized now. The daily logbook was up to date for the first time in months. "We've posted the manager position," Marcy said, flipping through a folder. 5 internal applicants so far, 2 external. Travis leaned forward. "Did Gabrielle apply?" "She hasn't," he frowned. "Why not?" Marcy closed the folder. "She doesn't think she's ready." Travis stared at the closed door. Voices from the front filtered in faintly, Gabrielle calling out an order, Mateo laughing with a customer. The store was still busy, still thinly staffed, but the tension had shifted. It wasn't fear anymore, just fatigue. "Let's talk to her," he said. That evening, after the rush, Gabrielle sat by the back prep sink, her apron streaked with caramel and steamed milk. She was rubbing her wrist absently, not noticing until Travis pulled up a stool beside her. "You ever take a day off?" he asked. She didn't answer right away. "I used to, then I stopped asking." "Well, I'm not asking," he said. "You're off Sunday and Monday, paid." She looked at him sideways. "I can't afford 2 days unpaid. You won't have to." "It's covered." She blinked, then nodded slowly. "Thanks." He waited a beat, then asked, "Why didn't you apply for the manager role?" She exhaled through her nose. "Because I've seen what happens to people who step up. They get chewed up. They burn out. They get ignored. You're not invisible anymore." Gabrielle leaned back against the tile wall. "I've been holding this place together for a while, quietly. Doesn't mean I'm ready to run it. You already do." She didn't respond. "You've trained 3 baristas in the last 6 months. You fixed the espresso timer when no one else knew how. You built half the mobile menu on your own time. You're already running it," he said. "All that's missing is the title and the pay." She looked down, twisting the edge of her apron. "I don't want to become like her," she said finally. "You won't, because you actually care." Gabrielle met his eyes. "You really think I could handle it?" "I think you already are." She sat with that for a moment, then stood. "I'll fill out the form." The next morning, Travis called a full team meeting before opening. It was early, the floor still dark, the espresso machine silent. Everyone stood in a loose circle. Mateo, 2 newer hires, Gabrielle at the edge. Travis stepped forward. "This store's been running without a manager for too long. We've had some hard days, and some people stepped up when they didn't have to." He turned to Gabrielle. "Starting next week, Gabrielle will be the new store manager, full benefits, salary. And she'll be helping us build the next training model for new locations." There was a beat of stunned silence. Then Mateo clapped. One of the new hires who'd only been there 3 weeks let out a quiet "finally." Gabrielle didn't say anything. But her jaw moved slightly, like she was trying to keep the emotion in check. After the meeting, she pulled Travis aside. "I'm not going to be perfect. No one is," he said. "Just don't forget what it felt like to be the one holding everything up without a title." "I won't." Over the next month, things changed slowly but clearly. Gabrielle started rotating the floor schedule to protect breaks. She introduced a weekly feedback hour where any staff member could speak privately with her about anything. No retaliation, no judgment. Mateo started training on bar. The register was updated to remove the manual override Gina used for fake charges, and the tip jar. It stayed full and untouched until shift end, split evenly every time. Travis didn't show up every day anymore. But when he did, he made drinks. He didn't just watch. He added one more policy to the company handbook before the end of the quarter. Any location going more than 2 weeks without a permanent manager would trigger an automatic audit and on-site observation. He didn't need spreadsheets to tell him what the people on the floor already knew. Trust wasn't built with promises. It was built with presence, and from now on, he'd be showing up.